This episode of Let's Knit Together is sponsored by yarnmarket.com. Fabulous fashions, fast and friendly.
Hi there, I'm Kat. Let's knit together. Today, steeking. In the past, when I've seen patterns that require steeking, I'd put the pattern aside and say, no way. I could never bring myself to cut my knitting no matter how much I like the sweaters in the round. Steeking is the technique to add stitches or wraps to the project in the round for the purpose of cutting. This allows you to make a cardigan in the round or attach sleeves to a pullover knit in the round. Usually you secure the steek stitches with a few lines of machine stitching. However, today I'm going to show you how to use crochet stitches to secure the steeks. I recommend that you try this first with a swatch before trying in a complete sweater, just to prove to yourself that it's really not that terrible. Work a tube 6 inches high and 10 inches around, either in solid or stranded pattern for your project. This can be your swatch. I've sewn a basting stitch through the center of the stitch that will be cut. Now take some yarn, either the same weight or lighter, in a contrasting color. Using the crochet hook required for this weight yarn, begin doing a row of single crochet. You'll start with the right leg of the stitch immediately to the left of the stitch you'll cut. Then pick up the left leg of the stitch to cut. Work the single crochet from the bottom of your tube to the top. Then turn the tube upside down and single crochet a row of stitches. Start with the left leg of the stitch on the other side of the stitch to cut and the right leg of the stitch to cut. You will always be picking up the yarn through the center of the stitch. If you do this correctly, you'll see purl bars all the way up through the center stitch. This is where you will cut. This Icelandic sweater I'm wearing right now is the first big project I've ever steeked. It was nerve-wracking.
Okay. Are you nervous?
A little nervous here.
Am I making you nervous?
Especially when you keep wanting to put it off. We got to do it now.
You're doing it now?
Are you ready?
Trying to get a shot.
Are you ready?
I don't have a shot yet. Okay.
Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is cut the cast on stitches. Everything's a little hairy because it's Icelandic knit. Okay, the first cut. Be very careful not to cut the crochet. There we go. Next. I'm doing this fairly slowly so not to cut the crochet steeking part. Now I'm actually cutting not just the steek, but also the floats behind the steek. That's why you're seeing multiple colors in my cutting here. This will go a little bit faster here because there aren't any floats in the middle. It's going pretty well. You can see the edge here where it's cut. Just a little bit of fray, but the crochet stitches have really stabilized the steek. Now the way the crochet works is that it actually captures both legs of the stitch, leaving the purl bar in the center, and that's what you end up cutting.
How's it going? How you feeling about it?
Actually, I'm feeling better now at the straight section where there's no floats, because I'm not so worried about hitting the or cutting the crochet thread, because I know I'm only cutting the light blue. When it gets to the yoke, I think I'll struggle a little bit like I did in the beginning. The reason this works is because it's a very hairy wool. You can see it's got like a lot of hairiness to it, wiriness, and it helps because it keeps the threads stuck together, so they kind of felt together as you're knitting them. They don't felt as much with thick Lopi yarn as they would with like a Shetland, but it's still pretty sticky. I'm nearly at the end, and as I thought, the yoke is a little bit harder to cut because of the number of floats and being able to distinguish between all the colors. It probably would have been better if I used like a really contrasty color like red or something for the crochet steek, so I would have been able to see it a little better. Okay, and the very last part. This is actually the center steek stitch, so I don't need to keep that anymore, but I use that as a guide. So, clip. So here you see nice clean cut. Nothing's coming loose. You can see there's a little bit of fray, but that's all captured in these crochet stitches. I actually used a thinner yarn to do the crochet steek than the yarn that the sweater was made from. So instead of using Lopi, which was the yarn for the main sweater, I used light Lopi to do the crochet steeks. That really helped out because it didn't create any bulkiness on the actual steek on the edge. So when I fold this over and stitch it down, it won't be really thick. It's actually quite smooth. Now that it's cut, actually in this particular pattern, you sew on the button band. So I've actually already knitted the button band. This is the button band. And then there's this facing, so I'll actually fold it over while I'm sewing it up, and then I'll use the facing to fold that over and cover up the cut stitches. This way you don't actually have any exposed frayed stitches from the steek itself. And then I'll press that down so that so it smooths it out, then sew up the hem. Whew. That's good scotch. Our next live show is on Saturday, December 19th at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're having it a week early this month. That way, everyone can share their holiday projects and chat about knitting for yourself in January. Go to Let'sKnit2gether.com/live for details. Thank you all for participating in the contest for the Yarn Market Abbey Collection yarn that we announced in episode 62. The winner will be chosen on December 7th, so check the Yarn Market blog for the winner. Along with the Abbey Merino yarn, they've also released several free patterns to go with the yarn, like this adorable Abbey mock turtle pullover and this Abbey Vneck pullover. You can find these patterns in the Abbey Merino yarn at yarnmarket.com. And if you just happen to find yourself shopping at Yarn Market, be sure to leave a comment at checkout thanking them for sponsoring our show. I've been invited to display my knitting at the library in New City, New York. I'm really excited about this opportunity. It's like my art gallery opening. If you're around Rockland County, New York in December, stop in and check it out. Directions to the library are in the show notes. The Let's Knit Together Ravelers Knit Along will continue making squares for Afghans until December 31st. So far, we've got 8 squares, including this beautiful one from Maltese Parakeet on Ravelry. If you'd like to join our charity knit-along, check out the November 2009 knit-along thread on our Ravelry group. I put the pattern aside and say, no way. I could never bring myself to...
Stuck right there. Just, you get it again? We'll do it again.
I put the pattern aside and say, no way. I can never bring myself to...
It's still there again. It's still right there. What's going on? It's getting stuck or something. You gotta throw it higher or something. Look up in the monitor so that you can see it in the monitor. So you can, I don't know, get it with this. Ready? Go ahead. Okay, that's good enough.
That was a sync point.
In case you didn't know. Move your head this way a little bit. Oh,
hey,
look at this.
This isn't about getting the best shot. It's about making sure the sweater gets cut good.
Your lips. Trying to get you through the lens. All right. Am I distracting you?
Yes. I need to put closer and you're like laying right on top of it.